and welcome to 30 Minutes Exploring Coaching, a channel where world-class coaches and leaders gather to share information and insight for the benefits of all. Today here with me, someone from Ho Chi Minh City who has been serving the INGO as finance director before becoming a full-time life coach, helping teenagers or young adults, especially those entering the workforce or already in the workforce. Also very active in inspiring and lifting women who are struggling to get a work-life balance between career and personal life. If you face challenges in areas like self-doubt, self-confidence, this session is definitely going to be very valuable to you. So stay tuned, right? So welcome, Coach Mai, to 30 Minutes Exploring Coaching. Welcome to you, right? So tell us or share with us, Coach Mai, what moved you from a place of INGO to life coaching? Share with us.
First of all, thank you, Remy, for your warm welcome, for such a beautiful introduction. So just to minor information to correct, I'm from Vietnam, from Hanoi, not from Ho Chi Minh City. It's right. It's all right. I know that you have a wide network of coaches, and so it's might be some confusion. But I'm from Hanoi. I've been working with the NGO sectors for basically more than 25 years since I started after my graduation at the university. So what took me to this coaching journey? Right. So I used to be finance directors in different international organizations before, including the Mekong River Commission Secretariat in Laos. I worked there for 4 years. Excuse my voice.
Yeah.
And then I was working for UN. I was working for the European Union in Vietnam. I used to be finance director for WREP regional office in the Greater Mekong, and then Secretariat office and WREP Vietnam. Now, going through all these journeys, I've been through let's say hard time when I was having a lot of stress at work. I got success in my personal career at that time, but I felt like I missed something in my life. Something was missing, and I was not totally happy, and I was on the edge of getting burned out. And that was at that time when I decided to stop and quit the full-time job and look for something else. And I bumped into this coaching journey. Actually, I started since 2016, learning some neuro-linguistic programming and start doing a few coaching sessions for the young adult doing their social related projects for free. And then I got into the International Coaching Institute in Australia in October 2021. And since then, I've been doing full-time job on coaching.
Wow. That is a journey, it's a totally different journey. But I believe that your path during when you were serving the INGO has served you well, the experience that you gathered.
Definitely.
Yeah, it helps you a lot in coaching people, especially going into the workforce and all that. So, Coach Mai, there used to be your favorite quote that I hear from you from time to time, that you say, we cannot solve our problem with the same thinking that we used when we created them. It used to be your favorite quote. Now, could you share with us on a deeper scale in what way this coaching helps a person shift a mindset, when they are facing a problem, be it in career or in their personal life? Please share with us. Yeah.
Thank you, Remy. I think that's the famous saying by Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
So this is something that we were reminded day by day at the International Coaching Institute. Apparently, when clients come to us with problems, they think that the problem is a problem, but it's actually the problem is not the problem itself. It's more about how they think about that problem. So a lot of it is with their thinking and what they make certain things means. When they observe things and make meanings about these things, that's their thinking about the incident happen outside to them is more of the problem. Yeah.
So through my personal coaching journey so far, and then when I speak to people about, say, mindset coaching and all that, they sort of like, Remy, what do you mean by mindset coaching? To some people, it's like, well, mindset is just the way they think and all that. But from a coaching perspective, I believe there's a deeper work to be done and all that, especially on the mindset. So when we say from a coaching perspective, mindset coaching, what do you mean? Can you please share with our beautiful audience out there so that they can have a better understanding when they come into things like mindset coaching?
Yeah, thank you, Remy. I think I would just take something very basic that we would touch before in different coaching classes. This is very basic model when we started learning about coaching. So everything happened to us, the external event happened to us, and that may lead us to some kind of emotions. So the external events, we call it stimulus, and then the emotions that leads to our emotion will lead to our action, and our action will lead to our result. So between the stimulus and emotion, there was some step there, and it's that there is actually our thinking, our thoughts. So like I said before, what we make it mean about that event, our thought will make some meaning about the event, and that will lead to our emotion, and that will affect our emotion, and apparently will lead to affect the action that we take. So I think it's very important for me, mindset coaching. I will have our client to learn to be the observer of their thoughts, their own thoughts, and see whether those thoughts are helping them to achieve their goal. It would be empowering to them, or actually those thoughts are holding them back. So it's very important to be to observe, to slow down, observe the thought, and notice whether it helps them or not.
Oh, okay. So if I'm a person that would like to advance in my career or in my business and all that, but it seems that coming from a place, or maybe the way I've been brought up have been influenced me and all that, I have low self-esteem. So when I come into a coaching session or engage a coach like you, right? So how, in what way you can help me to build up my self-esteem from a coaching perspective?
Thank you, Remy. A big question. I mean, a discovery session at the beginning will help me to understand to narrow down the issues that I can work with a potential client. Now, if you come to me with the issues about your confidence in getting done in business, I will work with you and try to figure out whether you have any limiting beliefs that is holding you back. Because, for example, me, when I started this journey and having to do sales conversation in coachings with my potential client, for example, I came from nonprofit sector. This is totally out of my comfort zone. So I was like I found it very uncomfortable having that conversation. So that limiting belief actually helped me back, because I didn't push myself out there doing networking and talking about what I'm doing, and even talking about what package I can offer to others. And that actually held me back for some time until I was coached. And then I have to change my limiting belief about sale and replacing it by a more empowering belief that I'm learning to do marketing in sales each day, and selling is providing service, and not selling is actually disservicing to my clients.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it seems that many people that so-called struggling with self-esteem things have these things to break through called the limiting belief, which we
Mm.
call it in coaching.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of other stuff outside the self-esteem issues, that could be the issues around their emotion that they have been suppressing. They are not freely expressing the emotion, or there could be some issue about the boundaries that they have with people around them.
Mm.
They would, let's say, rarely say no to anything that people approach them to do, even though inside within them they may feel a bit uncomfortable, and they say yes just because they wanted to avoid shame or guilt. Yeah.
So along the way, when I was younger, working with people and all that, then they say, well, Remy, to be tough or to advance fast in career or in business, you need to be a tough person. A tough person don't break down and all that. They have to show the world that we are one tough person and all that. But just now you mentioned about emotions, which is very interesting. How does this emotion link to a person's handling their challenges or their resilience muscle in times of that were being hit hard and all that in their career advancement, especially? Can you please share with us a little bit more on this area? Yeah.
Very good question, Remy. Thank you for asking this.
Yeah.
Emotion is a big topic. And one of the topics that I would take my clients to is having emotional flexibility. So what I and getting to know themselves, getting to know their identities, and getting to know their values along the way. Now, going back to your questions about
Yes.
emotions.
Emotions.
Many of us, especially in Asian countries, we were raised in cultures and in family and education system. We were taught to be strong, and if you are oldest person in the family, you got younger brother and sister, because you need to prove that muscle as the oldest person also. So for many, because we try to prove to others around us that we can be strong as they expect, then we somehow suppress our emotion from time to time. Men can say, oh, I'm a man in the family, I need to be strong for my family. Or the oldest person, brother and sister, would say, I have my younger brother and sister to take care of. I have to be role model for my brother and sister, and I would not cry. I should not cry. And apparently, you suppress your emotion for a long time.
Yes.
And that would, and also you inside your head sometimes you told yourself that, oh, I need to be strong, I cannot cry, I can't handle it, I can't do it alone, and I have to do it alone, nobody else will support me. Somehow it would informs your beliefs, and those beliefs are not helping you in the long run, because you won't, say for example, one of your beliefs could be, nobody will help me, I have to do it alone. And that means that where you will not reach out for support when you actually need support, or you would not show your emotion to others that you you are in a vulnerable condition and you really need love from people outside, and you also need support. So it kind of, because of that cultures and education that we've gone through, we wear a layer of mask for ourselves, not living out our true self. So in our roles as coaches when working with our client is to help them to peel different layers of the onions inside them and live with their true self. Yeah.
So for a person who has never been on a coaching sessions before, so you mentioned that, well, in coaching session, you're going to peel layers by layers if you have a mask and so on. To some, well, it seems a little bit scary, yeah, because like,
Yeah.
you gonna interrogate me, asking me a painful question, harsh questions, and all that. Well, can you please paint a little bit more deeper a picture for the masses out there who have never been into a coaching session before? You know, now that, okay, say I'm aware that I have these issues, I need to act strong and all that. So to me, breaking down or having tears in my eyes will seems like I'm a weak person. I wish I'm not going to do that, especially I'm a guy, say for example. So how can stepping into a coaching session with a coach help me to slowly remove the layers?
Yeah. Thank you, Remy, for that questions. This brings us back to the very core competencies that we learn from international coach skill by the International Coaching Institutes. And one of the key competencies is that we need to have deep listening skill. And I think a first step we need to start in the coaching conversation is providing a very safe space for our client, being in trust with our client, giving them space for them to speak and share what they want to share. Because I think we were always reminded that we need to focus on our clients and not to make the session is about the coach, but more about the client. So giving them the space to share what they think. Our role there is listen and observe and provide validation, acknowledge them for their vulnerability, even when they share something emotional. And also our role is to listen, to pick up on their language and see whether there's any limiting belief that we can have them to go through later in the session. We can play the role of to challenge them if that belief is not supporting them in somehow. If we see that those certain beliefs that they have is not supporting them in the long way, we can challenge them. But I think the majority of our time for working with a client is active listening, providing safe space, using our smart questions to allow them to share more, and we get to know their understanding their map of the world, how they see things, and then we find that patterns and tendency and coach them on that pattern. Yeah.
Well, at least, to the masses out there who haven't been to coaching session, well, I think this sounds okay, doable, at least for instead of just one big leap. To many out there, they say, wow, why should I engage a coach when I can do it myself, which I might take years. But I think from what you shared just now, it gives a better perspective. Working with a coach not only helps you to unlayer one by one of the things that need to be worked on, but it speed up the pace of the work involved. Wow.
Yeah, definitely, Remy. And also, I remember one thing also that I myself always offer some free discovery sessions. So I use the session with my client as a session for me to discover whether our type match, our coaching with my coaching, whether it is both sides. It's for me to see whether the client match with my style, and for the client themselves to see whether my style match with them. And I normally ask them questions like, how do you want me to coach you? So some people would like a very direct method, like
Mm.
I can call them out on certain thing, but some person would say, okay, go slowly. Then that if this is something that I can adjust, then definitely I will adjust with different kind of clients. Yeah.
So to those tuning in today, there's such thing as discovery session, whereby
Yeah.
the coach will sort of like assess, what are the things that you're looking for, or things that you would like to work on your life area, not necessarily just in career. It can be health, it can be relationship, it can be
Mm.
career or business. There's so many areas to work with a coach on. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
wonderful insight that you gave to our beautiful audience out there, Mai. And then there's these people used to say, whatever we do, there's this cause and effect. So
Mm.
how does this cause and effect structure or models fit into the way a coach a client? Can you please
Mm.
share with us, Mike?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cause and effects is one of the a very key models, thinking model that we learned, and I use it very often with my clients. Now, in other when we are at course, we are taking responsibility for whatever action that we take. Whether it is we don't see issues a failure as failure, but more about the feedback that give to us whether we can do something better. We see options, opportunities rather than obstacle. If we are at the effect, we can be a drama queen. We will blame why on earth these things happen to us. But if you are at cause, then you will say, I like what Jay Shetty, one of the famous speakers, say, life happened for us,
Mm.
not happen to us. So when we see that life happen for us, we see it as an opportunity for us to learn and grow. But if we see life happen to us, we put ourselves with the victim mentality, and we start blaming all because of the thing, because of that thing. So this thing happened to me, and start being a drama queen. And we just get stuck in a blaming way, and see no way out. On the other side, if we see things as feedback, whatever happened to us that doesn't work out as feedback, then we will ask ourselves, there should be a way, and there won't be a way out, and we figure out how it works and how we can improve in the futures. Yeah.
Oh, that brings me back to a coaching model. Is it something like above the line and below the line?
Exactly, that's the one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I think you paint a very clear picture, to those who are tuning in today of taking responsibility on what happened. Like, even I spoke to many clients or people. They say, "Wow, Remy, it's the other person that caused me to become like this, not me."
Mm,
Wow.
mm,
I said, okay.
mm.
Then I've attended many things before, and it all comes back to, the gurus or the leaders. They say, Ravi, if there's something wrong with the market, it's not the market, it's you.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Learning to take responsibility, and yeah, yeah. That
Everything about you, money and you, relationship and you, market and you.
that's true.
But this word responsibility seems so heavy to many. Yeah. It's like it's very hard to draw a sand line between taking responsibility and taking blame. So to many, if I were to take responsibility, that means, wow, you're saying that I am the person to blame, which I don't want to be that kind of person.
Mm,
But I
mm,
think you paint a very clear picture. Taking responsibility doesn't mean taking the blaming
mm.
part.
Mm. And so, and thank you for sharing your insight on this and quoting very good example. It just bring me back to the flow that I already shared at the beginning of this conversation about um, external events when things happen and you started making meaning about it, and that leads to your emotion. So if you see something like, say, if you, let's say you target to have two sales conversation this month, for example, and you ended up having nothing, and instead of getting in one corner and blaming, oh, I'm good at it, I cannot learn how to do it, and starting to be a drama queen, that is your choice. Below the line thinking, you can then sit and for a moment and see where did it go wrong and where can I improve, and the feedback from the client, from the potential prospect, and not accepting that is the feedback for us to improve, and what can we improve, and that is how we learn to put to take responsibility and have a thinking at cost. Yeah.
Interesting. Which reminds me of this question. Someone once asked me many years ago, "Who are you?" Then I said, I'm Remy. He said, no, who are you? I said, I'm Remy. No, who are you? Think deeper. Which I'm going to ask you for the benefits of all who are tuning in today, which brings me back to the terms core values.
Right. Yeah.
So to many, when I ask them, who are you? They just say, I'm a dad, my name, I'm a teacher, I'm a business. No, who are you as in terms of core values? So from your coaching perspective, when we are being asked, who are you? From a core values perspective, what say you, Coach Mai?
Okay, thank you, Remy. Who are you is a big question. And before I answer your question, let me share with you. I used to ran a workshop, and when we started the workshop, I asked all participants to draw pictures representing who they are, and I started with my intent was very simple, like if they want to, if they can say their strength, what they are good at, what their strengths are, and how they look. It's just that simple, and I explained that to them. And one of the participants refused to do that exercise because she said that she don't know who she is, because really she had a different interpretation of that exercise. So see how people, we have different map of the world. So the question who we are is a big one, and that's a lot of things. As I mentioned, core values is one step. Very important. We need to know what our values are, because that is key. Those values are driving our actions. And for me personally, my value, number one value, always be responsibility. I was known to be a person who's very responsible for everything that I commit doing. And I did it in my previous job as finance directors, and also for now, whatever I do, I commit to do for my clients. If we have any workshops, or if I commit to do something with my one-to-one client, that is my top priority. My second value is learning and growth. This is the key. I love. I have high curiosity, and I wanted to explore things, and I want to learn a lot of stuff. So learning and growth is my second. Um, the third value for me is compassion. So compassion here is compassion for myself, and I practice doing it each day now. I share at the beginning of our conversation that I quit my full-time job because I was on the edge of burnout. And now I start learning to love myself more, giving myself self-compassion. And I used to be a very perfectionist person. So now I learn to laugh at my mistake. If I make any mistake, I learn to laugh at it, which is fun. And also compassion here is also the compassion that I give to others, to the client that I serve also. Yeah.
Wow. Beautifully said, Coach Mai. When you mention compassion, just take a look at our lotus here. There is no lotus. Compassion. Symbols of compassion, lotus. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful design.
Yeah. Being mindful of time, Coach Mai, we've come towards the end of our 30 minutes exploring coaching session. Yes. So if there's one beautiful message that you would like to share to all who are tuning in today, what would be your beautiful message?
Well, I think there's a lot of things, but if it's put it in short, I think for me, working with two group of clients the first group is who have struggled with work-life balance. The second group is struggle with the teenagers struggling with self-confidence and self-doubt. I think it's the key is if you could figure out your core values and start learning to be the observer of your thoughts, that in the long run will help you to gain your emotional flexibility. I know emotional flexibility, there's much more than that, but these are two key things that I would strongly recommend people to find out your core values, what drive your behavior, what drive your decision, and start slowing down, observe your thoughts, learn to be the observer of your thoughts, because your thoughts will lead to your emotion, have impact on your action and your behavior. Yeah. Awesome. You want to have a very good relationship with your thoughts.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your valuable time, Coach Mai. So to all beautiful souls who are tuning in, if you feel that you resonate with what Coach Mai and me discuss about, and you would like to find out more, to discover or to explore more, feel free to reach out to any one of us. And our contact below, Coach Mai can be contacted at her emails, and our emails here. Always feel free to reach out, and like what she shared just now, you are definitely not alone. So thank you very much, and see you next time on 30 Minutes Exploring Coaching. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bye.